and we're getting recurring revenue for all from all of them. And I think demand will continue to pick up. And the other good thing about the coffee side is just that we have a vast audience, given the different strategies or the different distribution channels for all those companies.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Ash Guglani. He's the president of Next Innovations. And Ash, great to see you again. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, Steve.
Yeah, so the company has had a couple of pieces of news in the last couple of days. Today, you've released a letter to shareholders that really talked about what happened the other day with upping your order from another one of the coffee companies. This was sort of a look at what was about 2024 and really what's looking ahead in 2025. So, just first off, your general thoughts about 2024.
Yeah, look, 2024 was a great year for us. It took us, I think I explained in the letter some of the challenges around designing a K cup, and 2024 showed that we overcame those challenges. We finally got our customer base going. We've got a US customer, we've got some Canadian customers, and we're getting recurring revenue for all from all of them. And I think demand will continue to pick up. And the other good thing about the coffee side is just that we have a vast audience, given the different strategies or the different distribution channels for all those companies. So we're in a good place with where we're going with coffee. Sorry, where we've been with coffee since 2024, and now we're ready to launch off into other products. And that's really the purpose of kind of saying what we're doing this year is what we've learned from coffee, all the heartaches, all the challenges, uh, even through the whole just the brewing cycle and just getting it right and getting everything nailed for coffee. So the capsule doesn't break down in the machine, but does break down in a compost facility. That took a lot of different changes to the formulation of our proprietary resin. And what we've realized now, and what we're starting to see since we've got coffee out there, is we are starting to see other industries reach out to us and say, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing this?" And there's a lot of single-use plastics out there just besides coffee. And I just wanted to really highlight to our shareholders and stakeholders and customers, like, we're not just a coffee company. We've built this facility. We've made this massive capex into bringing everything in-house, including a tooling shop, including extrusion, injection molding. We could do a lot more than coffee, and the investment's been made. And I think for us, the big thing now is, we got to start thinking outside of coffee as coffee continues to grow. We're about to relaunch our fully compostable Nespresso pod. We're sampling for a couple customers there. And as coffee continues to grow, I think what we're seeing, and I think what we'll continue to see, is different opportunities from different segments show up at the door and say, "Hey, what can you do with your resin for our industry?" And we're seeing some really we're looking at some very interesting ideas right now.
Yeah. A lot to unpack there. I just want to talk to you about the resin itself because I think that's the because people when we look at your company, they go, "Oh, you're going to put what into a pod?" But it's not necessarily a pod you're talking about. It's the resin that's actually the key to all of this. Is that right?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think even for ourselves, I think we put ourselves in a position where we get so focused and tunnel vision kicks in on just coffee pods. But the star of the show is a proprietary resin.
Yeah.
And having the ability to actually injection mold in-house, having the ability to extrude in-house to actually create a resin, that's really the showstopper, and that's where that's really the magic behind this whole thing. Whether we want to get into cosmetics or we want to get into other food applications or veterinary or health or medical, there's a lot of opportunities. And even I think our resin also can be very useful for opportunities outside of just composting. I think there's a lot of waste to energy processes where I think our resin could be could actually generate less pollutants. So we're looking at a few opportunities that we're super excited about.
Yeah. In the news release, you also talk a lot about the pipeline and that you mentioned already you're talking to customers and that's the key. And you announced a third purchase order from Bridgehead Coffee as well. So it sounds like not only is the pipeline strong, but the recurring revenue is strong as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting to see some good demand from all our customers. We are starting to see some repeat orders. You know, we're busy on the coffee side now, and you know, we do have some new customers we're onboarding as well. So, you know, everything's still a go on coffee, and we're going to keep pushing coffee. But all I'm saying is, you know, sometimes it's okay to kind of look up and realize that you got more than just coffee here from a 10,000 feet and above approach. And that's the key here is just realizing that we have this proprietary resin that we think can do wonders outside of just coffee to replace more single-use plastics. And you know, we've been approached to look at a few opportunities, and we're gonna show that what our capabilities are outside of coffee. Coffee was a challenge because of everything I've mentioned
Yeah.
on this call. I don't anticipate those challenges with any of these other product segments we're looking at.
Ash, thanks so much. Good to talk to you again. Congratulations on the letter, and we look forward to our next conversation. Okay.
Thanks so much.
All right, Ash Giglani, the president of Next Innovations.